Okay, that happened. The video is suddenly gone. So, any which ways, I'll start. I think there's Robin might be facing some issues there. So, hello and welcome everyone. This is Rashmi from Designhill. I hope everyone is doing great and staying safe and taking the necessary precautions. Thank you so much for joining us for this panel discussion today, wherein we are going to talk about digital marketing strategies to drive more business. We all would love to know where you're joining us from, so do let us know that in the chat section. Our eyes are there on the chat, and we want to know where you're joining us from. So do let us know that. So today's event is brought to you by Designhill, which is the world's leading creative marketplace that caters to the creative needs of businesses and individuals alike who can source high quality designs and buy unique products created by independent artists from around the world. Moving ahead, let me introduce our panel of experts for today. We have Amelia Tran with us. About a brief about Amelia. She has been named as a top 30 women in digital by you should be following by Now Marketing. Amelia is a digital marketing lead with a decade of experience managing startup and global Fortune 500 brands like Google, Shell, L'Oreal, etc. In 2021, she joined iSpot TV, a TV ad measurement company, as their head of digital. Her passion for marketing and connecting with others led to feature in eMarketer, Business Insider, related publications and podcast as well. And it led to a lot of speaking engagement for her in social media summits. So thank you so much, Amelia, for joining us. Would you like to go ahead and say hi to the audience?
Hey everyone, nice to meet you and thanks for joining.
Thank you. Next, we have Neil Schaffer with us. Neil is a globally respected authority on helping innovative businesses through their digital transformation of sales and marketing through consulting, training, and development and execution of social media marketing strategy, influencer marketing, and social selling initiative. Founder of the digital marketing consultancy PDCA Social, Neil is currently a fractional CMO for several companies. He is also the author of 4 marketing books, including Maximize Your Social and the recently published The Age of Influence, a groundbreaking book that is redefining digital influence and the variety of ways in which businesses of any industry or size can leverage the influencers that surrounds them. Neil.
Hey, thank you for having me. It's good to meet everybody.
It is the second time Neil is joining us, for the panel discussion. It's glad to have you here, Neil. Next, we have Nitin Sethi with us. Nitin brings with him a rich experience in product design and digital customer experience, which he has acquired over the last 20 years across leading internet and digital platform companies in India. He is currently leading the digital transformation for Indigo and has previously built and scaled Quicker, Yatra, and Naukri.com. He is an expert in crafting lovable omnichannel experience for customers through simple and usable products based insights on their personas and buying behavior. He got recognized as one of the top digital influencers and made it to the Adobe Content 100 list for 2017, along with the Adobe Digi 100 list for 2018 and 2019. Nitin.
Hi guys, pleasure having you.
Thank you. Last but not the least, we have Joe Martin with us. Joe Martin is currently the GM and VP of Marketing at Cloud App, which is a visual contribution tool. He has more than 50 years of experience of marketing in the tech industry. Prior to his role at Cloud App, Martin was the head of social analytics at Adobe, where he led paid social strategy and a research team providing strategic guidance to organizations within the company. His work has been published in the Associated Press, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, and other top-tier outlets. Joe.
Hey everyone, excited to join today.
Wonderful. So before we start the session, guys, I have a few announcements to make. We are giving away, we are giving away certificates to the attendees who are going to stick with us till the end of the session. So make sure you be with us till the end and get certified and also learn a lot from our experts. Also, you can take the screenshot of this event and post it on your Twitter. Use hashtag Designhill events. Tag Designhill DH and all our speakers who are on the panel today, and one lucky winner will have a chance to win a print shop gift card worth $50. My team member Robin is there, who is moderating the event today. He will be sharing the Twitter handle of all our speakers so that I can go ahead and tag them as well. So make sure you do that. Before we start, let's quickly look at what Designhill is all about.
Looking to get your boss to remember your name? Head to the world's #1 creative marketplace, Designhill.
When my company promoted me to head up our latest real estate development project, I was excited, then anxious, then petrified. How was I going to hire the team, get the designs completed, and design beautiful presentation materials on our lean budget while impressing my bosses, some of whom are still learning my name?
Good job, Mitch.
My name's Lawrence. That's why I went to Designhill and got the design help I needed that fit within my company's brand guidelines. The process was simple. Designhill's design contest ensured I'd get a ton of results I'd love. Start by picking a number of designs that inspire you. This one's good, and that one. This one speaks to me. Then share some information about the project. Lastly, pick a package that fits your budget. Do you just want a logo, or do you want it all? Then, boom. I got more than 60 custom design options to choose from, as well as all the other graphic design assets I wanted. And it's all backed by Designhill's 100% money-back guarantee. If I don't find a design I like, I get my money back. You can't lose. Now I have what I need to make a splash at my meetings, with everything from business cards, pamphlets, posters, and more. It's real.
Let the world know it's real and build your brand with Designhill.
All right, so that was a bit about Designhill, and now we are all set to start the session. If you have any question, make sure you put them up in the question section, and we will take all the questions in the last 15 minutes of the session. And also, Robin will be rolling out few polls in between to understand how the session is going. So make sure you answer to those polls as well. So everybody, let's get started. Let me start with Joe with the first question, and I'll take the same question to the other panelists as well to add on their opinions. So Joe, digital marketing landscape has been evolved, and we are getting to see a lot of new things in the digital marketing space on a daily basis. In the same ways, data-driven marketing has also gained a lot of momentum. So how are you leveraging data and technology in your current marketing plan for your organization? If you can share some light on that.
Sure. Yeah. So data has definitely always kind of been, well, at least maybe the last 10, 20 years even, been a key for digital marketing since it started. That's the nice thing about it is, I can put up a billboard or I can do a TV ad and kind of guess of how many people that's actually touching, or magazines back when as well. But digital is very clear, for good and bad, because it's a really clear vision for everyone at the company to kind of see, is marketing doing well or is it not doing well? And it really makes marketing a revenue generator more than a cost center, which is, I think, a key. So one thing I do at our company is we have just a couple of key metrics, because it can be easy to get lost in how much data you can track. So we created this acronym. Everybody loves ARR, annual recurring revenue, in SaaS business. So we track metrics related to acquisition, retention, and revenue. So there's our ARR. So acquisition is just kind of that top of funnel signups. Retention is, are those signups actually activating, and are we keeping them? Are they becoming paid customers? Because a cloud app starts as a free product. So a lot of people will be free forever, or they'll download it, take a screenshot, or do one video and then never use it again. So that would be, not a great sign up. And then obviously revenue, what is actually driving revenue? So we look at that by channel, we look at that by page, and that really helps us to know where we should be driving more traffic, where we should put more money, and helps us make really much better decisions than if we didn't have it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Joe. Neil, I would like to take the same question to you. I mean, how are you leveraging data? You have been working with a lot of organization as a CMO there, and you would have a wide access to different sort of industry and the data as well. So how are you leveraging the data, and at the same time, how can organization use the data to personalize user experience? I think that's something that a lot of organizations are working towards, giving a personalized user experience. So how are you leveraging the data to provide the same?
Yeah, so I think, digital gives you the data, and data sort of becomes everything, right? There's so much that you can track with it. And obviously, similar to what Joe was talking about, with every client, we try to basically visualize the funnel and let the data tell us what is going well, what is going wrong. And I think at the bottom there, obviously, you have the acquisition and further below. I also think that for a lot of companies, you have similar stages above the funnel, really beginning with social media and brand awareness, and starting from there, and winning social media users as followers, as engagers, bringing them back to your website, then obviously as customers. So at every stage, there's different metrics, different content, different ways of measuring. And I wanted to throw in the content there. Thanks for reminding myself, because that's another area where data is really critical to understand. I mean, content becomes the currency of digital and social media. So really understanding what content is working on which platforms or on our own media, and really trying to fine tune that and trying to, generate the best content to get the best results. And I think that's something that, most companies are probably doing, but it's something that probably should be talked about a little more. As far as personalization, I mean, I think it really comes down to having your clients and your prospects in your database, and using, marketing automation technology. A lot of sophisticated email marketing services will provide you a technology that will allow you to personalize, not only user interface, but also custom messages and what have you. But just the more you can find out about your audience, the more you can personalize the journey for them. And therefore, I think it does come down to the data, and a lot of that, it will be the content and analyzing that.
Thank you, Neil. And as you put a lot of emphasis on the content bit of it, my next question is related to the content as well. So I'll take this question to Amelia and Nitin. So I'll start with Amelia, with this question. So in today's time where we as consumer are overloaded with information, customers are smart about the different kind of content that is coming to them, right? They understand the difference between an ad, what is a sponsored content, or what is a branded content for that matter. In such a scenario where the consumer is fully aware of the different kind of content that's coming to them, how do you build engagement and loyalty with customers, and what should be the content strategy that look like for the businesses?
Yeah, and when we talk about content, I wanted to also remind everyone that email marketing is also a very crucial piece of content. But something we've definitely learned over the years, especially in the past year, is by just making sure that you as a brand are being a resource to these users genuinely. So a customer is already buying from you, and some incentives are as simple as providing a first look on a new product, an exclusive offer or loyalty program, or if you're selling a technology product, your customer success team should really be reaching out to give them the details and engage with them to try and collect feedback. People want to feel like they're being heard and that their opinions matter. There's also low-touch things that you can provide to say, I'm thinking of you, like e-gift cards, personalized gifts that you can email user, and they can choose for delivery, such as Loop and Tie. There's just so many different ways, and that's really the one way that you can stand out, because there's a difference between a customer acquisition content strategy versus what we're talking about right now, which is re-engaging your most loyal customers and people that have already purchased from you.
Thank you, Amelia. Nitin, I would like to know your opinion on that. I mean, you want to share something that you are doing, anything specific to Indigo that can help, bring engagement and bringing that loyalty to your customers using content. So
Sure.
yeah.
I think I second what Amelia said. So storytelling is at the center on the content, and content plays a right role when you have a right segmentation and persona mapping. And as a leader, your job is to make sure that you eliminate all the ambiguity through content and the story and the messaging you are having with the customer. I think from a platform perspective, what assets you use, what medium you choose, and small details like time and the type of conversation you are having with the audience, everything matters. And at the end, ultimately, it's whether it's awareness or engagement. You need to define your content outcome, that what you desire from it very clearly to have a very crystallized results. It's not only about what you want the customer to do, it's about aligning your brand on what customer want from you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Nitin. Just a quick shout out to the audience as well. Once again, make sure you put your questions in the questions tab, and don't put them in the chat. It might get missed within the conversation, and we will take them up in the last 15 minutes of the session. So moving ahead, Amelia, let me ask you the next question. And since we have been talking about content, it looks like it's the key there, to get the data and to build the audience engagement and customer engagement. Businesses has been experimenting with different content type. Talk about Instagram Reels or TikTok or podcast for that matter, which has been growing exponentially, right? I was just reading about Clubhouse also. I mean, the kind of momentum that Clubhouse has gained in a span of a year, it has been huge, which is just an audio based app, right? So how do you see, what opportunities does it bring for businesses, and how should businesses should be leveraging this? I mean, different all these channels which exist out there.
Yeah, great question. First off, I'm praying for the day that Clubhouse comes up with the Android version. Shout out to all my Android people here. I have one, and I admittedly haven't really been on Clubhouse because of that reason, but because I invest so much time studying it and reading through it from other people, it's almost like I'm there. So Clubhouse, to that point, has been doing a phenomenal job at being the shiny new toy by keeping it exclusive and having big names like Elon and Mark on. I'm also excited, not to contradict this, but to see Twitter Spaces come out of beta, right? It's also a really hot competitor right now. But Clubhouse really allows businesses to really connect with a specific group of qualified users. And I think that's really the key message, whether we're trying to sell a product or we're a platform. It's all about having quality people, right? And of course, it's not as fun to replay the Clubhouse audio experience than it is to be there to interact live like we're doing right now. So I think that's really where its core value comes in, by making sure that businesses are connecting with users at the right place and the right time, exactly like we're doing right now, and making sure that you have a very specific audience that's going to listen to your message and what you're going to say and when you're going to say it.
Absolutely. Even I was waiting for an Android version of it and an invite as well, since it's an invite only application. So hope to get that soon. So Neil, I would like to take the same question to you. With all these platform which exist, wherein the audience is already there on Instagram Reels, on TikTok, what opportunities do you see that brings for small businesses out there, and how should they be leveraging these opportunities?
Yeah, I just want to say, I also wanted to comment on Clubhouse. So fortunately, I'm one of the iPhone people, and I do literally have 8 invites available. So feel free to hit me up on social media, and I'll be sure to get those invites out to you for those that are interested. But I think that, there are many content mediums out there, right? You have videos with YouTube, you have obviously text with blogs, you have, photos and interactive stories where Instagram is king. And then you have audio, right? So podcasting, and I think with the emergence of Clubhouse and now Twitter Spaces, there's rumors that Facebook is looking into something similar. It is a mainstream medium, not as mainstream as the others, but there are opportunities. So I think regardless of the channel, I think it's about businesses really getting out there and thinking and really reimagining social media, not as a place to promote, but to create genuine relationships with customers, with prospects, and with influencers. And I think if they can take that approach, similar to, I have one of my clients, I convinced them to launch a podcast that's been going very well. And with a podcast as a brand, you can now reach out to influencers, right? And a lot of them are really honored to be part of what you're doing. They would be honored to be on your podcast. And a lot of them will share that with their audience, right? And I think the same approach, we don't see brands on Clubhouse yet. It's only a matter of time, I assume. But it's really that same approach. It's less about you, the business, and more about everybody and how you can serve them. And often it's by bringing in other people. Obviously, those people can be your customers as well, but they can be a lot of different type of people. And I think when you look at social media that way, whether it's Instagram or a blog or YouTube, it's really a similar approach that can be really beneficial to any business.
Thank you. I feel like this is something which is an important point of discussion here, which is about leveraging all the tools that exist for businesses. So I would like to take the opinion of Joe and Nitin as well here. So Nitin, would you like to go first?
So yeah, I think I agree with Neil, right? So it's the ecosystem. And from my point of view, I think it's very important for the brands to realize that they can't be everywhere. So they need to be where their audience are. And you don't need to be on TripAdvisor if that's where your audience don't search out for you. So and in my opinion, 3 V's: vernacular, video, and voice. And on Clubhouse being voice, videos being on YouTube. So these 3 things are actually the growth factors for most of the brands. So you need to find your niche, and you need to find where you can actually master in terms of promoting the product or service you are into, the category you are into, and strike a meaningful conversation rather than just being part of the crowd or creating more noise. It doesn't work that way anymore.
Thank you. Joe, your thoughts on it?
Yeah. So I think with anything, first of all great points. Sorry to the green bubblers out there, but you'll get it soon. I think the other important point is just like with any other channel, a key is consistency. So if you I worked for a huge company and we put out this ad about this fake social network called Woo Woo, and it was this joke around like jumping in on the fad too quickly and putting all resources behind something that isn't necessarily proven yet. Like I love almost every night there's something on Clubhouse about how to build your brand on Clubhouse. It's like it's been around since June. Like relax people that are calling themselves influencers on Clubhouse. But we talk about big brands like an Adobe or someone who's huge and can put 5 people behind Clubhouse to see if it works for 6 months. But the small companies, you're not going to jump into Clubhouse for one day and have it make an impact. So maybe test it out, do some R&D with some effort over a longer period of time, but don't let it distract from, things that are actually bringing in revenue for those smaller companies. So I think that's the big key is there's an element of R&D for new things, but there's also an element of, hey, this isn't working for us. That's okay. Let's go back to, what's working well.
Wonderful.
I think Joe is actually focusing on a very good point from a consistency point of view. It doesn't matter whether you take the one step. It's also, you need to maintain it, and you need to maintain it for a long term. You can't just push something out and pull back. It gives a very bad impression to the brand.
Absolutely.
Most of the brands which go down on certain channels, this is the very common mistake which they make.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for adding the diverse insight on this topic. I felt like it is something that has to be talked about, and as it is something a lot of people are making a lot of mistakes, a lot of small businesses, as you guys also mentioned, jumping on every platform and not being consistent enough. So thank you so much for all the insights. Moving forward, let me take the next question to Neil, and I'll take the same question to Nitin as well. So let's talk about brand SERPs. SERP is like search engine result pages for the audience. So it is what appear on Google when someone search for your brand name, right? So Neil, can you help us understand why these brand SERPs are so important when it comes to digital marketing, and how does it help businesses, and what are the things that small businesses or big businesses for that matter should know about these brand SERPs?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? You're talking about brand subs?
I'm talking about search engine result
Sure.
pages. So it's called
Sure.
brand SERPs, right?
Okay, yeah, this is something I'm going to let Nitin answer
Okay.
for me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. I think it's very, very important for all the brands to get explored where their customers are. And organic is more important for small businesses and even big businesses. If you're spending $10 on paid marketing and only $2-3 on organic, that's not the right way of doing it. Most of the brand successful, consistent long-term perspective is basically your 75% traffic should come from organic reach, and that's where you need to be relevant in terms of the keyword strategy, what type of pages are they going to see, what type of content snippets they're going to see, and defining your funnel. Your brand success is actually those 4 seconds of eyeballs you get in the first scroll. If you are able to actually capture, I'm telling you, there is a great success. Indigo became one of the only airlines in the world in pandemic which gained the market share. We worked on organic more than paid because of the cost crunch budgets in the pandemic, but it became a blessing because the team has looked for new ways of doing it, and our organic searches has increased 250% in last 8-9 months, and that is remarkable, keeping the struggling category in mind. So always remember, a penny saved is penny earned, and always believe whenever you're thinking about marketing, it's organic and search engine marketing, SEO more and SEM less.
And my apologies. Now you're talking about search engine result pages. Okay, so I want to talk, reflect on something that Joe mentioned, which is, everyone's always talking about the latest and greatest and the new shiny object. And I'm a big fan of. I mean, I have clients reach out to me saying, Neil, we want to reach with influencers, yet their website has very little content. Or they're not even doing email marketing. And I think it all has to work together. And I really begin with my clients with, the website is your platform for digital discovery. And Google, that's, search engines is where, not just Google, obviously, but that's where the action's at. So, I have a concept called a library of content. At a minimum, you want to educate the industry, you want to educate searchers, you want to educate your customers on a number of different topics, right? So what are the keywords that you want to be found for? And at a minimum, you should have content that really covers those things. I agree wholeheartedly with Nitin about the paid versus organic. One client, we started, it was almost 100%, pay-per-click, and it got a certain amount of traffic, but the traffic was cold, it was low quality, and it wasn't really converting. And we turned off the ads, we switched to, an inbound marketing to content strategy. And it took a few months, but now we actually have more traffic than we did paying zero. And that traffic is also converting better. So the problem with SEO is it's not, the paid SEM is very quick, right? But, relationships don't happen overnight. And it takes time for people to, it takes several touches for them to get to know you and want to do business with you. So the organic approach does take time, but, with getting back to what we've talked about, consistency as well, over time, it really does work, because I find that everybody is trying to, chase the Clubhouse and the TikTok reels. And I see every day there are opportunities in search engines to be seen with a very, very smart, keyword strategy, but also really great content.
Yeah, can I add on? So, for me, it's really like a data bank, because when someone is searching for your brand, that means they've already heard about it somewhere. So you need to think about it, like Neil said, it's a long-term game. Are your social ads really effective? Are your display ads driving the awareness that you need it to, right? And I also like to think of SERPs as a brand's business card. So that means your information, regardless of where it is, beyond your website, beyond your site's metadata, your social platforms, wherever someone is reviewing your brand on Glassdoor or anywhere else, it needs to be all consistent and up to date. And I think where a lot of brands fall short, and I've seen this mistake happen, is you don't do enough searching on your own brand. Like for me personally, I love to search my name and see what the hell even comes up, right? So I think as a brand, not just as an individual, it's very important for you to see where are you really appearing and how are you appearing. So that's the only indication you'll see if you're getting bad reviews from a site that you didn't even know existed, right? And how can you really remedy that so that anytime someone is searching for your brand's business card, as I like to call it, that it shows the most positive experience at any time.
And also your competitors, like I know our competitors and Adobe's competitors were bidding on our brand name. So if you don't have a nice billboard right at the top there, I mean, I've seen as many as 4 ads ahead of our organic brand SERP. So, it's nice to have extra billboard space if you're putting effort in more than just the homepage, but it has like an FAQ or something else that gives you a little bit more billboard space. It helps kind of go against competitors that are bidding against you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone. All right, we have 15 more minutes to do the Q&A, and then we'll see if audience have any questions for us. So moving forward with the next question, Joe, I'll start with you on this question. So voice search and marketing automation is on the rise. Obviously, everyone is just, talking to Alexa to place and saying, turn on the light, turn off the light, and all of that. So it's obviously on the rise. How do you see it impacts on customer buying behavior, and do you see businesses optimizing their website as well for voice search in coming future? Do you see this as a trend in digital marketing in 2021?
I do see it as an evolving trend. I think it's much further out than 2021. I mean, when I was, with Adobe, we would always talk about all these future trends, and then we'd look and see how people still hadn't figured out mobile yet. There's brands who still had really poor mobile experiences. And this was as early as 3-4 years ago, and mobile's 60% of traffic now. So yeah, definitely we can talk about it as an evolving trend, and it's growing. But I still think there's quite a few things that brands need to work on while they're putting some of that R&D effort into voice search and kind of understanding it and watching it as it grows as a trend. I do think the direct to consumer companies or like Amazon are for sure putting a lot of effort into voice search because they're directly tied to it and have a huge incentive. But as far as I think there'll be a few early adopters, and then the mass population will be much longer term.
Okay, Neil, would you like to add to that? How do you see voice search, creating an impact in the coming future? Especially, how do you see its impact on customers' buying behavior?
Yeah, I think that it's a long-term thing. I wouldn't go out and, we need to invest 100% of our marketing budget on voice search. Definitely the big brands with a lot of money will invest in those technologies. But I agree with Joe. It's a very long-term game. I think that, voice search, because it's search, will play upon like any other, Google search product. They're going to play along with sort of the way that your content is laid out on your website. So if you want to appear in FAQs or in people also ask boxes, there are certain ways you can provide information and structure that. And I see with voice search, there's probably going to be additional things that companies will need to do going forward. So I think it's something to keep an eye on, but I think it's something still very much in the future. But, whether it's a year or two from now or 10 years from now, I'm going to bet that it's probably going to be a little bit longer now. I think it does take time for things to evolve in the space.
Okay. Moving forward with the next question, Amelia, let me start with you, and I'll take this one to Nitin as well. So, video has been gaining a lot of momentum since a long period of time. We also talked about it in a bit, right? Oh, we lost Amelia. So, Nitin, this question is for you now. So, so how do you how important is it for small businesses out there to incorporate video strategy as a part of their digital marketing strategy for 2021, and what are the key things that they should be taking care of while taking this side of video strategy?
I think it's a very intelligent question for small businesses. The short video ads are actually the gold mine, right? Because it doesn't cost you much. You can insert and try it at various channels very effectively with very low budget. And the ROI versus static ads is actually 2 to 3x, because not many people are actually trying it. So for small businesses, it makes a lot of sense. Like I said before, vernacular, video, and voice, it comes on the second V. And even the voice and video, the next 3-4 years are very crucial, because most of the brands are emerging and using these things. For country like India, where the reading and writing and the education has a problem, the voice search and video exploration is actually key for the brands to be on. If you're a small business, that is a big area for you to invest and gain an advantage over competition.
All right. So, Amelia, you lost your connection there, and we were talking about the video marketing and how is it going to shape in the near future, and what small businesses can do about it to sort of, take the leverage or get the maximum output or result from it. So, anything that you would like to share on video marketing? Anything from your experience that you have seen? Amelia,
Yeah,
can you hear me?
sure. I'm going to turn off my camera just because my internet, unfortunately, is cutting in and out. But when it comes to video marketing, as we know, videos are more upper funnel, but it can be very, very effective at driving sales and leads. Like any tactic that we discuss, we still need to tie it to a purpose. Within advertising, you can re-engage viewers who have actually completed your full video. I think that's something we always forget, that the platforms are just as good as the humans that power behind it and understand the strategies and tactics. And what this tells me as marketers is how engaging or non-engaging our creative actually was in driving that video completion, right? Is your creative actually effective? Regardless. Also, if someone completes my video, it allows me to then retarget them with a specific message to get them closer to my point of purchase, especially since that's probably most of our business goals here, right? And video is the more common format on, as we know these days, Instagram Reels and TikTok for a reason. There's definitely so many ways for it to be interactive for a viewer. But again, like anything else, it's not a one-stop shop. You can't just keep pumping your dollars into there and expecting it to work. It really is all about A/B testing and testing out with different video lengths and things like that. Because we know as marketers, the longer a video is, the more expensive it might be to produce. So you need to start thinking about what are quick ways and quick hits that you can still capture someone's attention very, very quickly on social media, on YouTube, display, whatever it is, and be able to still drive that same level of effectiveness. So it's really a balance of creative message and how well you really target to make video very effective for your video strategy.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Amelia. So let me take the next one to Neil. So Neil, a lot of things have changed because of this whole COVID-19 pandemic that we have seen. The year 2020 has been rough for all the businesses out there, and we as individuals as well. So do you think there has been some changes in the digital marketing space as well because of this COVID-19 pandemic? Anything in particular that you have seen trending after we can't still say that pandemic is over, it's not over, but we have passed that line. So do you think there has been sudden changes in the digital marketing space as well because of the pandemic, and if yes, what are these changes?
Yeah, I think everything we talk about today has just become that much more important. When you can't physically engage with your customers, you only have digital to do so. So it's really forced companies to invest more in the space, and for many to really get caught up because they were really far behind. I don't know about you, but I suddenly start getting all these emails from a lot of businesses that I do business with that I never saw before. So, this is where, the tried and true of obviously, blog content, email marketing, social media as well, but really using all the different touch points to better engage. But also, I think this notion of customer education has become even more important, of really helping your community and serving them through what's happened, and doing more things like webinars, not necessarily for promotion, but really for education and to engage your customer base. So nothing like revolutionary new, but a lot of things I think have been more emphasized with the current reality, and I think it's going to continue for some time.
Okay, Joe, would you like to add to that? Anything that you see changing post-pandemic? Anything that businesses are doing differently?
Yeah, I mean, everything's different. I think that's the biggest key to recognize. But I do think, we, even when things go back to old normal, it will all still have built these skills that we have now. So, everyone has now worked remote and kind of had to scramble through that and kind of managing and leading, trying to figure out ways to connect with audiences that aren't necessarily physical events, I think is challenging, but we'll get figured out. And I think it's all about just recognizing that things will go back to maybe more of a hybrid than like a whole 100% remote. But keeping those skills up and recognizing that, things have shifted, and even when it goes back to what it was, a lot of people have moved and companies are hiring remotely. So there still will be a much more distributed workforce than there was before.
Wonderful. Thank you, Joe. So Nathan, let me take the next question to you. There has been a lot of talks around vocal for local, especially in India. You would have seen, a lot of movements around it. So what are your thoughts on local SEO as a digital marketing strategy? Should a small business with somewhat limited budget focus on their key priorities when it comes to the local SEO?
I think it's a great question, and absolutely the question has the answer also. So the businesses need to focus on the localization. You have to think global but act local, and that is the key. So if you are capturing your market even to a particular user segment, and you're being relevant, you are validating and getting the right feedback, I think it'll be good for businesses to then iterate and scale. And that is key, because you don't need to actually present in 10 markets and not be number one. If you are present in 2 small markets and you actually master the customer, that absolutely works, because you can't be fighting with all the brands in all the markets. So it's very relevant for brands to target and then go for SEO strategy, because it's easier that way. Because big brands will cater on tier 1 cities. If you actually start the game from tier 2 and tier 3 and smaller markets, the chances of you winning the customer are much more.
Yeah, and I think that it's even more crucial for a local business because of the competitive nature of your business. How else will users find you at the right time, the exact right place where they are, right? So on a more tactical level, I recommend using long tail keywords in your content, and make sure that your content has the proper tags, meta tags, so that way when users are searching for, say, like best sushi near 11306, right, your zip code or whatever it is, that you're the first that really pops up. And I think like any good marketing strategy, SEO is all about also understanding what keywords your competitors are using. And some tools that I've used are SpyFu, SPYFU. So that way you can just do a quick search and see what are other keywords that are trending really well for your competitors that are actually like driving the search engine that they do need. And think about how can you really integrate that into your localized website, your search ads and things of that nature. I think that all needs to tie together. And I found that long tail keywords have been extremely effective, even if you might not see an immediate return.
I think there was some problem at Rashmi's end. So we have to manage the panel ourselves.
We have 14 minutes left. I know there might be one more question we could ask, but do we maybe want to start tackling some of the audience questions that we're seeing on the side?
Absolutely. So maybe we can start with one key takeaway from our learnings from the pandemic, that what new we have learned, and then by the time the audience questions can come. Neil, we start with you. What is your quick one learning which you want to share?
I think it's, I mentioned this just a little while ago, but back to the basics of digital marketing, and realizing that the value of things like Google search and email marketing are as important now as they ever have been. So trying to stay away from, the shiny new object and really double down on what's tested and true.
Awesome. Joe?
Yeah, I agree. I think, one of the first things you kind of do in marketing when there's like a crisis is your CFO or CEO or whoever will shut down, all marketing spend until things are like figured out. So, we didn't spend a ton on acquisition last year. We spent a lot of time on content and SEO and really efficient pieces of content as well. Like, one of my favorite things to like the video question was a live stream podcast gives you video, gives you the podcast audio, gives you the transcript, gives you blog posts. So just being really efficient with our time has really been helpful for us.
Amelia?
Yeah, so one key takeaway from the past year is customer segmentation is so important. A lot of brands forget the fact that they're sitting on a wealth of data, whether it's a user's email, phone number, and or company name. And if you're missing information on a contact, that's totally fine. There's tools out there like VerSCM or Primer who helps you match these users as best as possible to generate a list with multiple contact points, allowing you to then retarget them. And I think the reason why I'm talking about CRM as like the main takeaway is because think about it. In the last year, there's a lot of social good products and new businesses that have emerged and are being marketed. So now you're not only facing competition from what were your key competitors, but all these other new businesses that have generated and have decided to also advertise on the same platforms where you're trying to chase maybe the same clients, right? So it's very important for you to kind of think back to your roots and think about what is the information that I do have that I can utilize, retarget, and build lookalikes off of. So don't forget that, guys.
Right. So for me, it was an iterative design thinking process in terms of figuring out the tweaked user journeys, because every customer is different and their needs are different. So I second Amelia's point of understanding that user segment, defining it very, very well, and then tying the knot with what problem the business is actually solving. It became key because most of the people started doing the digital first, searching the research first on digital and then only the action. And that's where the evolution and traction is happening on the digital adoption. So Rashmi, we've done our own panel and
Yeah. So sorry for the dropout, and thank you for managing the stage here and talking about your learnings from the pandemic. So we have a lot of questions in the question section that audience has asked us. Let's move there. So the questions will be on your screen. I'll start from the bottom. Okay, so this question is on your screen. It is for Nitin, and it says, please speak more on the ambiguity with storytelling and persona mapping.
Sure. See, basically, let's say that you are selling something, and mostly what you say that, okay, the discount is up to this and sales starting from this, right? That doesn't give any idea in terms of which day, how many packs, which time, right? So there is always an ambiguity. So when the customer comes, he says that, okay, from Delhi to Goa, the fare is XYZ. But when he actually start booking, the fare is much more than what it is. So, the asterisks and the terms and conditions, people hate it. Customers, including us, we hate it. So whatever you can do on the hand holding front, through that particular user type, it will always help you. It will always help the customer convert faster, because people buy from the brand they trust, and most of the brands are not able to fulfill the promise they actually do to the customer while booking. And this is absolutely common sense, but this is where the most dissatisfaction comes from, because if you hear the type of complaints your call center is getting, there can be a blood on the ear, because it's mammoth, it's insane what customers go through. Because a flexible fare, you can technically do n number of scheduling, but there is a star which says that within 72 hours, right? And all that matters to gain that customer experience. So storytelling through hand-holding videos, right content blog, right FAQs, self-service models, is connecting all the dots through your digital channels. Whether you are a small SME or a big brand, every asset matters, every interaction matters. He may not buy today, but he will come back tomorrow, because it's never, I come in and buy and that's it. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Nitin. The next question is by Brooke. It has been answered by Amelia, but I think it will help others also understand the concept. And the question is, what trends do you think social media channels will adopt this year, especially LinkedIn for B2B, B2B? That's the question. Amelia, would you like to sort of answer it for everyone?
Yeah, of course. I wanted to type it just because I know we're running short of time, but sticking to just LinkedIn for B2B, there's formats out there like message ads and conversation ads, which are actually pretty new since LinkedIn just launched it in Q4. It's basically a choose your own journey experience that lives within someone's email. And I think it's crucial, especially for B2B, where that one-on-one personal touch and message can really make or break for a difference for a very expensive product. For instance, you might be selling a tool that if you do get a contract, maybe worth $50,000 and more, right? So it's all about what can you really do to lean in on that in-mail experience to make someone actually feel like, hey, you're actually providing a solution to my immediate problem. You're actually resonating with me in a very non-salesy, non-canned way, right? So I think that those are definitely two formats, especially for LinkedIn B2B, that you should look into.
Thank you. Next question is by Brian, and the question is on your screen. Neil, if you can answer this for the audience, can you elaborate more about omnichannel to drive more business?
Yeah, omni-channel is obviously using a variety of channels, but I think omni also has this, you need to be everywhere type of approach. So I think that, most small businesses can't be everywhere, but it's understanding that there are many, many different ways to interact with consumers or with potential buyers, understanding what those ways are. And inevitably, part of what you do in digital will come down to having a web presence. Part of it will come down to email marketing, marketing automation, and part of it will come down to that social part. And I think the social part for omnichannel is where a lot of people can get lost. And I would say pick one or two channels and really try to do very well there. We talked at the very beginning about data, and I think that data, will lead you. Regardless of what channel you decide to pursue, data will show you how much conversations, what is the potential for your business in that channel. But as you begin to, engage and operate in that channel, the data will also tell you how well your efforts are, which channels are more, highly converting than others, and really investing more where you see your best efforts gain your best ROI.
I think the food tech is one category which has seen this during pandemic, and now the omni-channel approach has become very evident, and the digital, they start with digital, but with a quick scan and free deliveries. Ultimately, it's an omni-channel experience. So, and we will see this change more and more, because ultimately there is no digital and no physical. Most of the businesses are falling into omni-channel now.
Wonderful. Thank you. Joe, if you can answer this next question, it's on your screen and it says, it's asked by Castle, and the question is, I see a strong comeback with traditional marketing channels, flyers, billboards, benches, etc. Could it just be that marketers are trying everything as last resort now? Does traditional marketing have a place in the digital zone now?
Well, traditional marketing has a sexy name called ABM now. Account-based marketing is kind of a piece of it, but I think probably a lot of it is people are home, so going to get the mail is now an exciting adventure, which maybe it hasn't been for the last 10 years. So I think there's traditional marketing has definitely been overtaken by digital, but it's still very much a piece of a lot of businesses. I know a ton of tech companies who will send out, it is like account-based marketing, so it's only to targeted accounts, but they'll send out direct mail pieces or swag or experiences to accounts or people they know that look like their accounts, and they see a lot of value from that. So I think there's definitely an opportunity to blend it with digital, so that you can track it effectively. But it's still there. It's not the behemoth that it was, with the Mad Men era back in the much, before the 90s and early 2000s.
All right. Thank you so much, Joe. The next question is asked by Erwin, and it's on your screen. Just give me a second. Yeah. Amelia, if you can answer this one. So the question is, customers like to feel confident they will have a great customer experience. How can we make that fit into a cohesive strategy that allows that, clicking any post advertisement on a screen is too easy, but there is no human physical interaction. So it's all about, having a great customer experience. If you can share some.
I think that's a great question. I think it's all about everything we discussed. It's about tying in that one-on-one personalized experience, because like I addressed in the other question you guys asked, which are great questions, by the way, it's all about what can you really do in that one-on-one touch point that can make or break a $50,000 sale or not. For instance, let's not forget that there's such a thing that exists called community management. Like social media isn't just about you as a brand pushing out content, every day without understanding the repercussions of what your users are actually discussing or trying to learn more about, right? So it's all about making sure that you invest in the right tools and the right resources on your team to proactively listen to what people are saying about your brand, even if they're not tagging you in it. And of course, like making sure that you're responding to users and their questions and comments in real time, just as we are doing now, because you can learn so much from your customers just from seeing one tweet of theirs, right? And that can give you an indication of, hey, thanks for your message. Why don't we take this offline? Like, why don't I give you a call to address like the question that you have? Or, hey, if something's not working for you, let's talk about it so I can understand your feedback on how to really make it better. Everyone wants to feel like they're being heard and that their opinions do matter, which is why I think that's just the main takeaway here. Like, make sure that you're investing in the right people to listen rather than just execute.
Wonderful. So let's take the one last question. We have limited time here, and it's asked by Monique, and
Oh, there's your question. You can go ahead and answer it.
Neil, do you see it on the screen?
I don't. Every time she said you can see the question on the screen, I don't see it.
So it says, can you stay at one or two channels and still remain relevant? sometimes it's too much trying to stay up on new platforms.
Yeah, so here's the thing, right? You can be really successful, only be known on one platform. So it's really digging deep into, who is your audience? They're not going to look for you on every platform. And if you're not on the platform, yes, there might be competitors on that platform that are going to serve them. But, unless you have a big team and a big budget, it really is not feasible to be everywhere. So, pick the ones that matter. And I think if you're, a B2C brand, there are ones that are obviously more important. In the United States, we would look at, a Facebook, an Instagram, and maybe even a Pinterest. With B2B, we would start with LinkedIn and maybe as a secondary channel add maybe a Twitter and or Facebook. So I think if you stick with, 2 or 3 channels, you are going to be hitting most of where your target audience is. And really a good indication of this, we've talked about the use of data is just understanding where your competitors, what channels are they on, what sort of engagement do they get, what frequency are they publishing? And I think a lot of that will give you a good idea, because I have clients that come with me with like 7 different, icons of all the social networks that they're on, and they're not doing any of them great, right? And they're really not getting an engaged following or having conversations on any of them. And I think that really defeats the purpose of social media if you're not engaging and having those conversations. So, I think that advice will serve you well. And there's always sort of the FOMO, even like with Clubhouse, right? You don't have to be on Clubhouse to have a successful business today, right? You can completely ignore Clubhouse. Depending on your demographic, you can completely ignore TikTok. It's okay. And sometimes, as marketers and business owners, we almost need permission from others to tell us that it's okay. TikTok being a great example, or even Snapchat. If you're targeting, if you're a B2B company targeting a very niche segment, yes, you could be on Snapchat, you could be on TikTok. There might be some of your audience there, but from a strategic perspective, you're just going to be able to engage many more people in a more compelling way on a platform like LinkedIn. So always, remember that and just try to stick to common sense. Look for the data, look for your competition, and you might want to be a pioneer sometimes, but most of the time the data will lead you to where you need to be.
All right, thank you so much, Neil. So that brings us to the end of the session. We are over 3 minutes now. So the session was planned for an hour. So thank you so much once again, everyone, for joining us. I would like to thank our panelists for taking out the time and joining us here today. Guys, before I wrap up, any last thing that you would like to share with the audience? I'll start with Nitin.
I think for me, customer empathy is the key. If you think from customer perspective and solve problems, you will be more relevant.
Emilia?
Segment, for instance, it's very important to make sure that you try to understand your audience as best as possible. And if you don't have that data, there's so many ways that you can get to acquire it, like lead gen forums and things like that on paid social.
Joe?
Yeah, similar to what Neil just said recently, is just don't get, there's so many places to market. Really be focused, and before you're spending a ton of time on a new channel, see if you can't double your investment on the proven channel first. And if you can't scale it, then maybe you need to try new channels but don't lose focus on what's working.
Okay. Neil, any last thing from you?
Yeah, it's really just taking a digital first approach to everything in your marketing and in your business. And everything we talked about today was important. It's a lot, but by really putting priority on what is possible, I think that's going to be your key for success going forward.
All right, thank you so much, everyone, for that. This was indeed a value-packed session, and I hope everyone enjoyed the discussion. Once again, I would like to thank our panelists and thank the audience for joining us here today. Before I wrap up, there are a few things that I would like to talk about. if you guys are interested to register for the upcoming event, you visit designhill.com/event. There are more such sessions that we have planned like this. So make sure you visit our event page and register for the upcoming ones. To stay updated with events like these, you can follow us on our LinkedIn page. You can also give suggestions on the topic you would like us to cover and speakers you want us to host. And my colleague, Robin will be dropping the link in the chat section. Also, to watch the session, and if you have joined us late today, you can visit our YouTube channel wherein we upload all our recordings. So make sure you visit there and check out all the previous session as well. And for all the businesses and startup owners who are listening to us, if you wish to build a brand, visit designhill.com and check out the services there. A little bit of promotion that I'm doing here at the end. So lastly, you can follow all our speakers on Twitter and LinkedIn to learn more about digital marketing trends that's going to shape in near future. On that note, I would like to say bye to everyone who joined us here today. Thank you so much once again for taking out the time and joining us. Thank you so much, panelists, for joining us again. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.